Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? So the Saints continue rolling on with OTAs, and today was a particularly fascinating day because the media was allowed to speak to both Trevor Penning and Taysom Hill. Two of really the more interesting guys on this roster when you look at what their role will be in a new offense here with Klint Kubiak. We know Sean Payton and his staff drafted Trevor Penning. Rookie season derailed by injury. Last year, he was the left tackle to start the season. It went very poorly, and he went to basically just a tackle eligible. Now it's a reset of his career. Taysom Hill was a quarterback in Green Bay. Sean Payton is the one who identified, I know what to do with that guy, and created the Swiss Army knife role for Taysom Hill. Well, now both Payton and Carmichael are gone, so what does this look like? I think that's fascinating. And when Taysom Hill met with reporters at OTAs, he acknowledged that he right now, like, it looks dramatically different than it did with San Francisco than it did prior before Kubiak came here.
It's weird to say after 7 years of doing what I've been doing that I'm being asked to do things that I've never done before. But I think that is exciting. That is exciting to me, and it's challenging, and I love to be challenged like that. So, man, I'm grateful for those guys creating unique opportunities and fun opportunities for me.
When the Saints hired Kubiak, one of the conversations we had here was about specifically Taysom Hill in the tight end role. Because when you look at Kubiak, he has had traditional tight ends. And I think that does not bode well in this offense for Juwan Johnson and Taysom Hill because they are not typical three-point stance attached tight ends. Foster Moreau is. Another reason why people are excited about the undrafted free agent out of Colorado State. Like, you're looking for a more traditional, functional tight end in the offense. The other thing that San Francisco has done is used a fullback in Kyle Juszczyk. And look, Taysom Hill joked about it. Like, he's putting a hand in the dirt.
You know, it's funny. I haven't had to practice my three-point stance for a little while, so I've been doing the tight end stuff. So that's a little more natural than you would expect, but certainly haven't done it out of the backfield like that.
So I started to look at a comp, and we did this about a month ago, but I want to look at it now a little more deeply, especially since Taysom Hill is telling you he's lining up in the backfield. He's putting his hand in the dirt. He's effectively acting like a fullback. Well, who was the fullback in San Francisco's offense? Well, it was Kyle Juszczyk, who's one of the best fullbacks in the NFL. And to be clear, the Saints have a couple of fullbacks on the roster. They've got Adam Prentice still on the roster, and they've got Xander Horvath on the roster out of Purdue. But if what you're looking for is a Kyle Juszczyk, consider this. Just size-wise, Taysom Hill, 6'2", 221. Juszczyk, who I think we probably feel is a lot bigger, is 6'2", 235. So they're the same height. Juszczyk's about 14 pounds heavier. And we know what Taysom Hill went through last year when they completely removed him from the quarterback conversation and said, hey, go put weight back on. We don't want you leaning out to be a quarterback. Just go be the tight end, put some bulk on. He did. The interesting thing about their production is when we look at that San Francisco offense, as good as they've been, my impression was that Juszczyk was just more of an offensive threat and not solely a blocker. But honestly, his best rushing season was back in 2020. He had 17 attempts for 64 yards. Last year with Klint Kubiak, Kyle Juszczyk had, in 17 games, had 5 carries. As a matter of fact, in his career, Juszczyk's entering year 12. Started his career in Baltimore. After 4 years with the Ravens, he went to San Fran where he's found a home. Kyle Juszczyk, in his career, has 62 rushing attempts. Last year, Taysom Hill alone last year had 81. Taysom Hill had more rushing attempts in 2023 than Kyle Juszczyk has had in a dozen years in the NFL, to put some perspective on it. So if they're actually going to use Taysom Hill as a fullback, does he still get touches? Kyle Juszczyk, as a pass catcher, last year was targeted 17 times with 14 receptions. Taysom Hill had his best receiving season last year with 33 catches. His previous high was 19. Now, granted, he was splitting time at receiver and at that tight end / role and quarterback. But the point is, while I know I'm guilty of this, I had this impression of Kyle Juszczyk as this offensive threat within that, this weapon within that offense. It's not really the case. Maybe a decoy, but more of a blocker. So is that how they're using Taysom Hill here? Like, hey, bulk up and be more of a blocker, and we'll get you the ball as well in creative roles. I'm not sitting here trying to argue in any way about the comparison, their dynamic ability as a runner. Clearly, Taysom Hill with the ball in his hand is a much better player, much more dynamic player than Kyle Juszczyk. But I'm just saying how is Klint Kubiak trying to use them? Because I don't see Taysom Hill in this offense, in Klint Kubiak's offense, as a tight end. He is not a prototype tight end. Foster Moreau is. Juwan Johnson isn't. So how does this look moving forward? That's going to be fascinating. The fact that Taysom Hill's telling you he's carrying the football as a running back, he's putting his hand in the dirt, tells you they're getting creative. As a matter of fact, he talked about taking carries at running back, which has been something different for him during his time in New Orleans.
I mean, I can think of a couple carries that I got at the running back position through the years, but I don't know, 10. You know, it's not very many. So that has been new. You know, just figuring out different tracks and stuff, and that has been new.
To be very clear as well, I am not saying this is a bad thing. I think it's just a creative challenge for Klint Kubiak to figure out how to use Taysom Hill in this offense. One thing's for certain, he's never going back to quarterback. Okay. And if he doesn't actually map, even if you have him listed as a tight end on the depth chart, he doesn't map to what Kubiak wants as a tight end. So what do you do with him? That's an interesting challenge. But the biggest advantage this may bring is not being predictable by personnel. When Taysom Hill was attached as a tight end, hand in the dirt tight end, like, we know they weren't running the ball behind Taysom Hill to the heavy side because he's not an inline blocker. So in a sense, you become predictable by personnel. If Taysom Hill is on the field, now lining up at a three-point stance behind Derek Carr, well, is he blocking? Is he getting the ball? Are they handing him the ball? Is he going out for a pass out of the backfield? Are you going to toss him the ball, let him throw it? I guess that's the point. Like, as dynamic as Taysom Hill has been, as multidimensional as he has been, this makes him even more dangerous, potentially, if they figure out how to use it. So that's going to be so interesting for me as they move through this season to see how all that maps out. And I want to be able to spend more time on Trevor Penning, and we will get to that. But maybe the most interesting thing from Penning is it seems like his move to the right side is something he's embracing. Can you play 5, please? Like, I don't know what I would expect him to say, but it feels like this is the right thing to say.
I think it'll be great for not only me, but the rest of the O-linemen. We have a lot of athletes, so I think it's going to utilize our athleticism a lot more than the past. And, being able to get the ball outside on the perimeter, just being able to run off the ball and, attack the defense.
I think for this offense to work, Trevor Penning may be, it's so weird to say it this way, he may be the most important guy. And I understand quarterback is the most important piece. You need better play out of Derek Carr. But, we know what Derek Carr is. We know what Alvin Kamara, Jamal Williams, Kendre Miller can be at the running back position. You know what you have with Olave and Shaheed, and we assume a number 3 receiver will develop, and you got bodies. What you don't have are answers on the offensive line. And it feels like whatever your offensive line is this year, you can't know it fully until we know where Trevor Penning slots in. Is he your starting right tackle? Do you move him to left guard? Is he not a starter at all? It feels like you have to know the answer to that question before you can start putting the rest of the pieces in place. So maybe a new offense, a scheme that fits him a little bit better. Maybe that's the unlock for Trevor Penning to become a viable starting offensive lineman in the NFL. Certainly a hope for the Saints this year. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.